Hey everybody, it's Dr. Carmen Bryan, and this is Car Chronicles. How you guys doing? You doing all right? Good to see you. You guys ready? Well, let's do this. The question is why does the narcissist make it a priority to promote fear? Number one, fear paralyzes. Fear immobilizes. Fear causes confusion. Fear causes chaos. Fear causes internal turmoil. Fear prevents forward movement. And if you keep feeding fear, which that narcissist is going to keep fueling the fear, fear will develop into terror. That's why a lot of you guys have panic attacks, but fear will develop into terror. The narcissist will find your vulnerability, will find your soft spot. And everybody, I don't care if you come from a good home, I don't care if you come from a traumatic home, but everybody has vulnerabilities. And they take those vulnerabilities and they begin to highlight and feed those vulnerabilities in order to instill fear. Fear of rejection, fear of abandonment, fear of failure, which is usually fear of rejection, perfectionism, which is rooted in fear. A controller is driven by fear. Fear is like the electricity. It's the fuel that drives power and control. And so power and control cannot exist. And there's a difference with having authority and being in leadership and operating in your authority and leadership as a servant. You know, you're serving the people, you are a servant. That's not power and control. That's the love for what you do, and that's the care for people and mankind and servant. Being a servant or being a leader is to serve the people. But a controller needs power and control. And if you look at most dictators that were cruel and harsh and mean and cruel, whatever, they use fear. You know, people feared starving to death. People feared, violence. And that's what they do. They'll use violence. They'll use verbal abuse in order to fuel and strengthen power and control over their subjects. A narcissist knows that if they can implement fear, fear will break your focus and cause you to go off course. Think about it. If you're focused about education, if you're focused on family, if you're focused on your career or building a business, they implement fear, the fear that they're going to leave you, the fear I'm going to take everything you have, the fear that I will take your company, the fear that I will ruin your reputation, which is going to mess up your clientele or mess up your business or production or whatever. They use the fear and it breaks your focus and it causes you to refocus yourself, illegally refocus yourself onto the abuser and the controller that is implementing the fear. A narcissist needs all the attention to themselves. They need that attention. They need that sense of empowerment. And so they use the fear to cause you to redirect your focus to them. I'm in fear that you're going to leave, so I stop focusing all my attention on my career or my business and focus all my attention on you to appease you, to make sure you don't go anywhere. And so that now is driven by fear. When you become overwhelmed with fear, you become hypersensitive to what's to come. And when you become hypersensitive to what's to come in a fearful way, those narcissists pick up on those frequencies. That narcissist picks up on the frequency of your fear. Fear has a smell. Fear has a frequency. Fear has, you can walk into a room and you can sense it. It has a frequency. It has a smell. It has you can feel it. And they can feel it with you. They can discern it in you. They know how much power and control they have by how you react, not respond, how you react to them. But that's one way they stay ahead of you, because when you fear certain things, you start verbalizing the things that you fear that are upcoming. So guess what you're doing? You're giving them the game plan. You're giving them intel as to what you fear, so they know the next weapon to use against you in order to stay ahead of you. You wonder why you think they're so smart. They're not smart. You're telling them you're telling them your weaknesses. You're telling them the things that you're thinking about, so they use that as a tool. See, you think they're using it to protect you. I'm gonna protect you. Tell me your fears. What are you fearful about? I'm afraid that you're gonna this, or I'm afraid of this and that. So they use that like kryptonite against you. That's how they stay ahead of you. See, when you fear, they don't have to worry about the impending doom on themselves. They're focused on you. When you stop showing fear, the fear reverses, and now they're afraid of whatever impending doom in their mind has calculated, has come up with, so you see how that can switch. When you no longer show fear, they're in fear because they need to know what you're thinking in order to stay ahead. They're blind what we say, blind predators. So they live off of what you say and what you do and how you react, and it keeps them ahead. When you stop expressing fear, they become fearful because they don't know what you're thinking. Where are you at? I can't locate you. What's going on? Because they're full of fear. And they are full of fear. They're a walking bundle of fear, and they project that on you. Or they use that because they know it's productive, or to them it's productive. But they know that you are reacting to the fear. It's easy to control you. Think about a predator with a sonar system. A narcissist has a sonar system. Let's just say that. And what happens is your fear highlights you on the sonar system. You become a hot red. And they locate you. They locate your every move. They know exactly what you're thinking. Well, they really don't. But they know what you're thinking. They know your location. So your fear lights up on their sonar, and they thrive off of that fear because they can always locate you. You wonder, why do they always know this? Your fear is locating you. It's like an armadillo. You know, an armadillo is soft on the underbody. You know, that armadillo is protecting themselves with that shell, and so are you. But whenever you react and you show them fear, you're showing your underbelly. Even cats really won't show your underbellies. When they show you that underbelly, it shows their vulnerability. Even with wild dogs, you know, they won't show you their neck or their underbelly because that is a protected place. But every time you show that fear, that panic, you know, that chaos, you know, they know that their weapons is working against you, the weapon called fear, and you're exposing that underbelly. A narcissist will plant the seed of fear and then begin to feed the fear. So whatever it is you're feeding, you're thinking they're protecting. They're not protecting. They're feeding the fear in order to make the fear bigger. And once that fear begins to grow, it really contributes to what you're fighting against. So it's helping them, you know, power and control is helping them. So you are contributing to what you're fighting against. And as they're feeding that fear, it's almost like a projection. They make the fear and what it is that you're fearing bigger than what it really is. And that's why I tell you guys, you have more power than you think you do, because a narcissist is a walking, chaotic, fearful, low self-esteem individual, and they present themselves as bigger than what they really are. But in reality, they're afraid of your rejection. They're afraid of abandonment themselves. They're afraid, you know, that silent treatment, or that when you totally cut them out, they're afraid of that because they are afraid of rejection. They are afraid of abandonment. They're afraid of how people, especially semantics, they're afraid of how people see them or how you present them to people. So they're a walking ball of fear. And they project that on you, and you take the responsibility of it, and you begin to nurture it and grow it and make it bigger. And the bigger you make it, the more they feed it, the more control they have over you. That's why it's so hard for many people that are now trauma bonded to this narcissist to break free, because they put so much fear in you, and you've helped them water and seed it and grow it, that you start thinking to yourself, what am I supposed to do without them? I can't survive without them. Yeah, they may have taken a lot from you, but they haven't taken your mind and your thoughts. And most of you are very intelligent people, very creative individuals. They know that because they were attracted to your strengths. They were attracted to your strength, but the problem is your strengths are kryptonite to them, because your strength can cause a serious narcissistic injury. And so, like I said in another video, they subdue those strengths and they begin to bring up your weaknesses. In leadership in the military, one thing we learn to do, we address the weaknesses and we help you strengthen those weaknesses. And then those weaknesses, and those strengths, we build those strengths up, but we help you to bring those weaknesses, subdue the weaknesses in order to build strength in you. But a narcissist subdues the strength because the strength is kryptonite to them and it will hurt them, and they know it. So they make the strength look like weaknesses, and they take the weaknesses and they strengthen the weaknesses to maintain control. Now listen, I'm letting you guys know that I'm going to come on live on Saturday at 12 p.m. Those of you that want to ask questions and answers like I normally do on YouTube, I'm going to do it through Zoom. If you email me at drcarmenbryant@outlook.com, you will be on Zoom, where you get to talk to me face to face, and I'm going to broadcast that live. I need at least 20 people, and that's what I'm going to do on a weekly basis. I need at least 20 people where we get to have a conversation, and we're going to broadcast that to let people see some of the concerns or questions that you have, may answer other people's questions. I'll see you guys there. Email me.